We have, so far, covered more than half the story. Let us retrospect. It began with a stranger arriving at a village inn, all covered, even face and head in bandages, in an unusual season, when it is snowing. He behaves strangely and arouses speculations about his credentials. When he runs out of money, he commits a burglary at the vicar Bunting's place. And when the constable Jaffers comes to arrest him, he removes his clothes and becomes invisible and runs away. On the roadside, he meets a tramp, Marvel, and persuades him to become his aide. Marvel helps him recover his 3 important diaries and some clothes from the inn. The Invisible Man creates havoc when the people detect Marvel escaping with the things and intercept him. After sensing danger involved in it, Marvel shows reluctance to continue as an ally, but the Invisible Man threatens and coaxes him into continuing. At Port Stove, the Invisible Man commits burglaries and gives the money in Marvel's charge. Marvel finally runs away and takes shelter in an inn, the Cricketers, on a hillside of Port Burdock. But the Invisible Man catches him, and a scuffle ensues between the Invisible Man and the people present at the inn. Then, the injured Invisible Man takes shelter in a house up the hill, which happens to belong to an old college mate, Dr. Kemp. Dr. Kemp suspects him to be a trickster initially when he finds him in his bedroom, but gradually reconciles and agrees to protect and support him. The man tells Kemp that he was Griffin, a junior scholar at the college. That night, after giving his bedroom to Griffin, Dr. Kemp came to the dining room. He remained puzzled about the probability of things becoming invisible. Now and then, he would argue with himself.
An entire village in Sussex goes mad! Good heavens! He's not only invisible, but he's mad! Homicidal! He followed Marvel up to Jolly and Cricketers and injured him before the people could rescue him. What on earth ought I to do? I must write to Colonel Adair, Port Burdock.
Griffin then reveals his theory and method of invisibility when he comes to the dining room for breakfast next morning. This is how it goes.
What's the matter?
Nothing.
But the smash?
Fit of temper. Forgot this arm, and it's sore.
You're rather liable to do that sort of thing.
I am.
All the facts are out about you. All that happened in Epping and down the hill. But no one knows you're here. I don't know what your plans are, but of course I'm anxious to help you. Before we can do anything else, I must understand a little more about this invisibility of yours. Please have your seat.
It's simple enough and credible enough. I came on the stuff first at Chesilstowe.
Chesilstowe?
I went there after I left London. You know, I dropped medicine and took up physics. Light fascinated me.
Ah.
Optical density. I went to work like a slave. And I had hardly worked for about 6 months before I found a general principle of pigments and refraction. A formula, a geometrical expression involving 4 dimensions, molecular physics. In the books that Tramp has hidden, there are marvels, miracles. This was an idea that might lead to a method by which it would be possible to lower the refractive index of a substance, solid or liquid, to that of air.
Phew, that's odd. But still, I don't see quite...
But consider, visibility depends on the action of the visible bodies on light. Either a body absorbs light, or it reflects or refracts it, or does all these things. If it neither reflects, nor refracts, nor absorbs light, it cannot be itself be visible.
Yes, that is pretty plain sailing.
And here's another fact you will know to be true. If a sheet of glass is smashed, Kemp, and beaten into a powder, it becomes much more visible while it is in the air. But if the white powdered glass is put into water, it forthwith vanishes. The powdered glass and water have much the same refractive index.
Yes, yes. But a man's not powdered glass.
No, he's more transparent.
Nonsense.
That from a doctor? How one forgets. Have you already forgotten your physics in 10 years? Just think of all the things that are transparent and seem not to be so. Paper, for instance, is made up of transparent fibers, and it is white and opaque, only for the same reason that a powder of glass is white and opaque. And not only paper, but cotton fiber, linen fiber, wool fiber, etc. Kemp, flesh, Kemp, hair, Kemp, nails and nerves, Kemp. In fact, the whole fabric of a man is all made up of transparent, colorless tissue.
Great heavens. Of course, of course.
A year after I left London, 6 years ago, I had to do my work under frightful disadvantages. And suddenly, not by design, but by accident, I made a discovery in physiology.
Yes?
And then I beheld, unclouded by doubt, a magnificent vision of all that invisibility might mean to a man. The mystery, the power, the freedom. Drawbacks, I saw none. And I worked 3 years. I needed 2 little dynamos, and these I worked with a cheap gas engine. And then came a curious experience with a cat. She came in purring one day, and I gave her some milk.
And you processed her?
I processed her. After I had given the stuff to bleach, and her blood and done certain other things to her, I gave the beast opium, and put her on the apparatus. And after all the rest had faded and vanished, there remained 2 little ghosts of her eyes. Then there was my landlord rapping on the door with threats and inquiries, an old Polish Jew. I had been tormenting a cat in the night, he was sure. I told him to get out. He began to protest, to jabber of his right of entry and the law against vivisection. In a moment, I had him by the collar. Something ripped, and he went spinning out into his own passage. I slammed and locked the door, and sat down quivering. After a time, he came with a notice of ejectment and constantly knocked at the door. I opened the door. For a moment he gaped. Then he gave a sort of inarticulate cry, dropped candle and writ together, and went blundering down the dark passage to the stairs. I shut the door, locked it, and went to the looking-glass. My face was white, like white stone. My limbs became glassy. The bones and arteries faded, vanished, and the little white nerves went lump. Presently, the knocking was renewed and voices called. It was the landlord and his 2 stepsons, sturdy young men. They split a panel. I tossed together some loose paper, straw, packing paper and so forth in the middle of the room and turned on the gas. With a box of matches, fired my heap of paper and rubbish and, waving a farewell to the room, left it for the last time.
You fired the house?
Fired the house. It was the only way to cover my trail. And no doubt it was insured. I was invisible. And I was only just beginning to realize the extraordinary advantage my invisibility gave me. My head was already teeming with plans of all the wild and wonderful things I had now impunity to do.